Relationships are built on shared values. These values are the most important thing we look for in a new Farm Direct partner. Are they treating their people right? Are they treating the planet right? Are they investing in their community? Once we form a partnership around those core values, we intend it to last forever. But sometimes values drift. This is the inspiring story of the very first OBIS Farm Direct partnership, and it is the heartbreaking story of the first OBIS partnership we were forced to end.
We have decided to say goodbye.
I have been a coffee drinker all my life, but I didn't know that the coffee industry, as it exists today, is ruining the environment and keeping people trapped in poverty. That is the status quo of coffee. We can't let that stand. We've got to change it. We're traveling the world looking for producers who are doing the right thing for their people, for the planet, and for their communities. When we find them, we connect them to a marketplace of buyers that will pay them the right price, now and for years to come. It's time to put a name, a face, and a place on every cup of coffee. I think the moment we really fell in love with Living Hope began with a song. We had just traveled for 24 hours and we were bone tired and weary. And as we sat at Living Hope in Ndola, Zambia, the children of the orphanage sang us a song of welcome. It was a moment I will never forget. Living Hope was a project of the Oak Point Church in Novi, Michigan. They had started an orphanage with a unique model. The orphanage was supported by a coffee farm. The idea was that growing and exporting coffee would both create jobs for the local community and generate revenue to make the orphanage less donor dependent. And it was working. Sort of. The farm was growing about 25,000 pounds of coffee a year. They had taken 36 children out of crushing poverty and neglect, and they were providing good year-round jobs to about 20 people. But they were having trouble selling enough coffee, 1 pound at a time, through their network of churches. So, the U.S. leadership of Living Hope approached Bob about buying the coffee. He was skeptical. Bob and I are practically allergic to the myth that Americans know better. When outsiders try to help with good intentions and simplistic solutions, they usually just make things worse. But Living Hope felt different. Enter Davies Chapoya, the Living Hope executive director and the nexus of the whole by Zambians for Zambians mantra. Davies' Christian faith is central to his life. He spent years of his career crisscrossing Zambia to share his love for Jesus Christ. As a result, he is deeply connected and highly respected in the region. That's how he first met Lee and Trina Davis from the Oak Point Church. They had come to Ndola in 2008 with the dream of building an orphanage. They asked Davies to be their executive director, and when he accepted, a powerhouse partnership was born. Before Davies was brought on as executive director, Lee, Trina, and their Oak Point partners struggled to secure land for the orphanage. In Zambia, the royal chiefs are the final arbiter of land ownership. The chief was deeply interested in only one thing: progress and improving conditions for his people. LHI had to promise that they would create good-paying jobs, drill a borehole for potable water, and build school and medical facilities, in addition to housing and caring for the vulnerable children they would bring in. The chief convinced Shelley Matapula, a widow and subsistence farmer, to donate part of her only valuable possession, her land. In return, she would receive not payment, but permanent employment at the farm. Not $1 exchanged hands, and Living Hope International was in business. By Zambians, for Zambians, with American support. When we visited in 2018, things felt amazing. It had taken 8 years to build Living Hope into a functioning orphanage. There were dormitories, the Nsaka, a dance school, playground, outdoor performance space, communal kitchen, the coffee farm, and so much more. 36 children lived at the orphanage, a mixture of boys and girls, ranging in age from around 6 to 16. It took a lot of time and love to unravel the trauma these young children had experienced. They came in shell-shocked and withdrawn. Some came from different tribes with different languages. At the orphanage, they were equal and equally loved, and their cultural identity was honored. Davies and his wife Josephine ran a tight ship. But that was, in their view, what these kids needed: a pathway with love, discipline, and expectations that they were given the tools to fulfill. The kids got 3 nutritious meals a day, went to a good Zambian school steeped in their national heritage, performed chores, studied the Bible, learned to cook and clean, and helped care for the younger kids. They would complete high school and then be placed in university or in vocational training. The place was thriving, and it had a real feeling of community and joy. Living Hope created jobs at the orphanage and on the coffee farm, providing meaningful, dignified work for more than 30 people. And they were proudly paying above the national minimum wage. Living Hope also built a soccer field. In a place where survival is often a full-time job, the opportunity to come together and play a game was amazing. And they were actively working to open a school in the next couple of years. Classes would offer a first-rate curriculum to the orphans, as well as the students from the surrounding communities. The ultimate goal was to grow a healthy, loving generation of leaders with the skills to transform their community, because real change in Zambia can only come from its own people. By Zambians, for Zambians, with American support. Bob and I were blown away by what we found on that first visit. Not only that, Living Hope was founded to be, at least in part, self-sustaining through its coffee farm. For us, that was a huge inspiration and a big part of the reason we were so excited to become partners. Within a few weeks of returning home from Zambia, we had agreed to purchase all the coffee that they couldn't sell, about 20,000 pounds. Although it might sound like a lot of coffee, it was literally a drop in the bucket compared to the 1.8 million pounds that Bigby Coffee was buying in 2018. But the bigger deal was how it affected our thinking. At the time, Bigby was buying coffee the same way that most people in the coffee business do. We knew absolutely nothing about the names, faces, and places behind our coffee. We had no connection or loyalty to any producer. We were a normal coffee buyer, ignorant of the impact our purchases had on people, planet, and community. But if we could buy 20,000 pounds of coffee that was literally changing lives in Africa, why couldn't we find other producers using coffee as a vehicle to create change? If we could support them with a fair price and a guaranteed marketplace, just imagine the positive impact that we could amplify all over the world. Maybe, just maybe, we could buy all of our coffee that way. Bigby bought Living Hope Coffee the next year and the year after that. Our intent was to go on buying it forever. Things were going very, very well. Until they weren't.
And so our current concern is that change has been so drastic that we're not sure that we can continue with Living Hope.